Well, hello there. It's me, Stu, here for you, and we are back today talking about why memberships are the future of business. Now, the reality of it is that you are likely seeing all around you big businesses, little businesses, medium-sized businesses that are all shifting their business models toward a recurring revenue model. And there's a whole bunch of different reasons why, but we've seen it with companies like Adobe, who switched and moved from selling box software to now an online script subscription. We're seeing it with mainstream media companies like CNN and New York Times that were typically relying on their clients and customers to, buy the newspaper or buy the magazines and so forth. They're shifting now towards providing premium content inside of a membership and subscription. We're even seeing other companies like Walmart and Taco Bell, and obviously the ones that we're most familiar with, companies like Amazon and Netflix and Peloton. I don't know if there's any Peloton riders in the audience, but a lot of companies are shifting and moving toward a subscription business. And there's a very good reason for that. You see, with memberships and subscriptions, there's a number of massive benefits that come to you and I as business owners. And it's important to understand that it's what those benefits are, so that when we're looking at how we structure our business, how we set things up, how we are growing our business, what we want to do is we want to take into consideration the benefits and also the ways in which it eliminates many risks that any entrepreneur has in their business. And, if the last 2 years has taught us anything, it's that we have no idea uh, what could and will happen, right? And my heart, by the way, goes out to all the business owners who have had their worlds flipped and turned upside down during the last 2 years with the pandemic. I've got a really number of really good friends of mine who own brick and mortar businesses. One of my friends, he's owned a restaurant for 12 years and very recently was on the verge of bankruptcy because where we are here in Canada, the restrictions have been so tight that he hasn't been able to have a full restaurant anywhere near full capacity for almost 2 years, if you can believe it. So you can imagine what that does for any business owner who's had these kinds of challenges thrown their way, And now the flip side is that, with all of the challenges that have, forced so many entrepreneurs to think differently and to get creatively, there's also opportunity on the other side of challenge. Because one of the things that you and I as entrepreneurs do is we solve problems, right? That's what we get paid for. We get paid to identify problems and to make people's lives better, easier, give them the results they want faster, whether it be with our products, whether it be with our services, whether it be with our knowledge. There are all kinds of ways in which we get rewarded as entrepreneurs by solving problems. So when challenges arise, like the pandemic, it was a big challenge for a whole lot of people, but it also created opportunity for a whole lot of people too. And we'll talk about some examples here today of entrepreneurs who identified opportunity and jumped at those opportunities to be able to create a membership that serves their audience in helping them get a result that they are after. And when we think about the future of business, we see it all around us with memberships and subscriptions, from product-based memberships. Think about the XYZ of the month membership, like coffee of the month, tea of the month, tie of the month, socks of the month. The of the month type memberships are very, very popular, right? And they're very popular for product-based memberships. They've been popularized most predominantly by companies like Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club, they took a one-time product that people would buy. They'd go into the store and they'd buy the razors, right? And then the store would hope that people would come back to that store and buy them again. Never knew certainty. And even the experience of buying razors was a nightmare. You rewind back, like in many cases, you had to go, whether it's going into the grocery store or whatever store, normally the razors were behind like a key, like just ask somebody like come and unlock it and so get the rate. It was a whole thing. But Dollar Shave Club eliminated all the stress and chaos. And what they did was they created a membership and subscription. And from a fledgling startup to 4.5 years later, selling for more than $1 billion. Kind of crazy, right? And thank you for that, Tracy. Tracy said, I'm really glad. I have no idea what's going on. Hopefully, my connection holds steady throughout the broadcast. But point of the matter is, and thank you for that, Tracy. Point of the matter is that there's been a lot of product-based memberships that have grown and developed over the years. I mentioned the Dollar Shave Club. There's a Desk Nibbles, which is a subscription that we in our office subscribe to, where we get product like snacks delivered to our office on a regular basis. There's things like Bark Box, which is like a subscription box for dog. There's all kinds of dog treats and stuff like that. I also think of Sarah Williams in our community who took her mortar business, and she's a super savvy business owner. She was paying attention to what are her best and regular customers buying in her store on a regular basis. And once she identified that, she turned it into a subscription box, initially sold it to her local customers, and then grew that subscription box member from 300 or 400 plus monthly subscribers to more than 3,000 monthly subscribers today. A product-based business. Then there's service-based memberships. There's a barber here in Toronto. Then instead of hoping that their clients come back and get their haircut there again, they now know with certainty because they have a membership where members pay a monthly fee and they get so much. Now, what that does is it's a great deal for the client. It's tremendous stability for that barbershop. Where before they were hoping that people would come back and buy from them. Now they know with certainty that many members will be buying from them again next month. And so it changes the dynamics of a business. I was catching up with an amazing lady in the community. Her name is Mary Claire Fredette. She's been in our community for a number of years, and I knew that she had done her membership launch years ago, and I was catching up to find out how she was doing. So I checked in with her because Mary Claire Fredette has a massage business. And so I said to her, Mary Claire, how's the membership going? And she said, well, actually, I launched the membership in over 3 years. And I said, really? Like, well, what's going on? Tell me about it. And she said, I haven't had a need to launch my membership because she launched it initially and she welcomed this group of founding members, which booked up her massage wallet. And she hasn't had a need to do a relaunch of that membership in more than 3 years because it's more than an 80% rate, which is phenomenal. So again, this is an example of service-based business. Shift towards a subscription and membership model. It enables her to have stability, predictability in the business, and it minimizes that stress of wondering where those sales are come from. It eliminates that stress of or need of having to do another promo to generate the sales. And instead, it creates space and freedom for her to focus on what she does best, which is serving her people. So businesses that are in the product space move to a membership and subscription. You're seeing businesses in the service space move to a product, to a membership and subscription. And you're seeing all kinds of businesses in the knowledge space serve their clients at the highest level through memberships. And this is where we have seen the biggest boom in the last 2 years is in the knowledge-based membership arena. And we have seen brand new memberships go from 0 members to thousands of members in a very short period of time by identifying a market that has an ongoing need and either helping them master a set of skills, solve an ongoing problem, or number 3, creating tremendous convenience for their members. So let me give you a few examples. So when it comes to mastering a set of skills, there are all kinds of memberships that fall into this bucket. But, I would say one of my favorites and one of the most unique memberships is Holly George. Holly has a membership teaching people how to create balloon animals. And you would think, like, really? Like a business can be built around teaching people how to make balloon animals? Yes, in fact. And, Holly has hundreds and hundreds of members inside of her membership where she's helping them master the skills of being able to create great balloon animals. Now, we got to remember, when people are learning something new, they're not going to go from not having any skills to mastering those skills like that. They're not going to go from not having any skills to, learning what to do and how to do it, and then all of a sudden magically mastering it. It's like we can watch videos on YouTube all day long about swimming, but that doesn't mean that we've mastered the skill of swimming. What happens? We got to get in the pool. We got to put what we're learning into practice. And if we don't do that, we'll never master the skills. And this is why a membership is so powerful for helping people through that journey. Because knowing what to do and how to do it is only part of the journey. Actually implementing it and then getting feedback and advice and guidance along that way as somebody masters those skills is what really helps them experience the kind of transformation and progress that you and I both know is possible. So this is why a membership is a phenomenal business model if you are in the business of teaching people how to master any type of skills, whether it be from photography and calligraphy to fitness and finance and music and art and health and dog training. There are so many examples of people in our community who have adopted the membership model to serve their audience at the highest level, meanwhile creating stability and predictability with their within their business. Now, there's also memberships that solve ongoing problems. Like I think of Katrina, who she has a membership that teaches people how to lose weight in a healthy way. And her audience is particularly Christian women. And what's amazing about this is, you don't go from, being overweight to the perfect weight like that. Again, it's an ongoing problem. And there's a journey to going from overweight to your perfect weight. And this is why it makes an absolute golden gem of a business model for memberships, because we can serve our audience in that journey. Now, other types of examples of problems would be like training a dog, right? You're not going to go from a wildly out of control puppy to the perfect puppy like that. And this is why, again, memberships in this space have thrived, because we're helping solve an ongoing problem. I think of all kinds of people, whether it's Suzanne or whether it's Susan. Funny how the Susans and Suzannes are both in the dog training, but bottom line is that they each have memberships in that space. And again, helping people train their dogs. Now, they may be training them in different ways. Maybe one is like, I think of Susan Garrett. She's training dogs in for basic, response commands and so forth. And then Suzanne is teaching them in the sport of dog agility. Now, Susan Garrett also has another membership in dog agility, but there's so many different examples. But the bottom line is like weight loss is a perfect example of an ongoing problem. Dog, training is an ongoing problem. Relationships is one of those things as well. I think of Ginger Dean, who's got a relationship that helps people go from, particularly women who are coming out of a broken relationship, helping them find love again. Or I think of Leslie Vernick, who specifically helps Christian women who are in very challenging and oftentimes controlling and abusive relationships, transition and decide whether they stay in the relationship or not. And again, because you're not going to go from a broken relationship to a thriving relationship like that. This is why a membership makes a great model for that. So we're helping people either master skills, solve an ongoing problem, or we're creating tremendous convenience. And I think of during the pandemic, somebody who identified a tremendous opportunity, just like we were talking about earlier. When we've whenever anybody is facing challenges, the other side of the challenge is an opportunity. And Julie Seoul is a perfect example of that. She was a stay-at-home mom with her kids, and when the pandemic hit, she was just all in to make homeschooling lessons with her kids, world class. Like, she just wanted to really engage her kids, and she loves art, and she was creating these amazing art lessons. Well, it didn't take long until, friends of Julie were like, hey, could I see those art lessons? Can I borrow those art lessons? And, she didn't think anything of it because it came natural to her. But then eventually, through encouragement, she started a free Facebook group where she started sharing these simple art lessons for at-home schooling, homeschooling parents. And the group grew to about 2,000 people during 2020. And then at the beginning of 2021, that's when Julie made the decision to start a membership in providing these homeschooling lessons on a regular basis for all of her members. Now, Julie was the first to say it. We've got links to perhaps where I interviewed Julie about a month ago, and she said, look, I starting a business was the farthest thing from my mind. She's like, I've never sold anything, except candy bars for a school fundraiser before. So like, it wasn't even on her mind, but she went ahead, did a founding member launch for this membership, and she ended up welcoming over 300 founding members right from the get-go. Now, by August of that year, that membership had grown to 1,000 members. And fast forward one full year to January 2022, and that membership had grown to more than 1,400 paying members. Why? Because Julie identified a way in which she could create tremendous convenience for other homeschooling parents. She created that convenience by providing art lessons. So the parents don't have to think about what they're going to teach and provide their kids. In fact, it's served on a platter for them thanks to Julie and her Glitter Bombers membership. And so I'm sharing all these different examples because there are lots and lots of different knowledge-based memberships where people have taken the things that they already know, love, and do, their expertise, their experience, their skills, and are sharing it with others inside of a membership, and are reaping the benefits as a business because of the stability and predictability that membership creates with recurring revenue. But it's also giving them the opportunity to serve people at a higher and higher level. And this, my friends, is why I began exploring the idea of memberships all the way back in 2008. You see, I had a consulting business, and it was a very successful consulting business, but the challenge that I had was that I was limited by the amount of time that I could give clients. So when I was at full capacity, I was burning the candle at both ends, and there was no way for me to then grow the business because the only way to grow it was to give more time, and I didn't have any more time to give. And that's when a friend and mentor introduced me to the idea of a membership. And the way he explained it to me was that a membership gives you and I the ability to take what we're doing one-on-one and now do it one-to-many. And he said to me, he said, if you just take what you're doing one-on-one with your clients and you teach it inside of a membership site, now you'd be able to help a lot more people, and you wouldn't be limited by your time. Meaning there's no limits in the amount of money that you'd be able to earn. And I loved the sound of that. And so this is what started my journey. It started from the fact of realizing that the one-on-one model was not sustainable for me in my life, because I had just gotten married and my wife and I were thinking about having kids. And I knew that if I wanted to be a present father and a husband, that I couldn't be burning the candle at both ends. I didn't want to be burning the candle at both ends. So the business model had to change. And that started my journey. And it eventually led to me being frustrated with the tech at the time and talking to a former business partner of mine, Tracy, about how all I wanted to do was just teach, but I was getting swallowed up in like the tech of HT access files and server settings. It was a nightmare for me. And he said to me then, he said, well, why don't you just create your own solution? I was like, is he not hearing me? Like, I'm sitting here saying how I'm struggling with the tech, and he's suggesting that I create my own solution. I said to him, Tracy, I'm not a programmer, dude. I could never do that. And he said, why don't we team up together? And we did. And we created what went on to become the world's #1 membership platform for WordPress called Wishlist Member. And that company took off like a rocket. And before I knew it, we were serving tens of thousands of people from around the world in all kinds of different markets. But the real gem was being behind the scenes and seeing what was working as it related to growing a successful membership. And what I discovered was that the vast majority of people would launch their membership and then they'd hit a plateau. But there was this small group of membership site owners that were growing year over year over year. And so I paid attention to what they were doing. And it was counterintuitive. And it was opposite of what most people would expect. But those strategies, when applied continuously and consistently, saw growth month after month, year after year. And fast forward several years, I sell my shares of that company, and I commit myself to teaching full time what I had learned behind the scenes. And that's what brings us to today. You know, one of the things that I am most proud of and get most excited about is watching the progress and success of everyday people take the things that they already know, love, and do and turn it into a successful membership. This is why I'm passionate about this, because in the last 2 years, my goodness, have we faced all kinds of uncertainty that none of us would have expected. But here's what I know for sure. Those who had recurring revenue and stability in their business through memberships and subscriptions didn't experience anywhere near the stress of those who were hoping that their clients and customers would come back. They didn't experience anywhere near the stress of those who the only way they get a sale is to do another promo. And I'll never forget when the pandemic hit, receiving an email from Casey Hope. She sent me a message and she said, Stu, normally right now, as the world is shutting down, I would have been freaked out. Because Casey owns a brick and mortar art studio. She went on to tell me how she had to close that art studio. And in that business, she has staff, she has bills. She went on to say in the message, like normally she would have been freaked out about how she's going to keep paying her staff and, pay her bills and keep the business afloat. But she didn't experience any of that stress because she went on to share with me how launching her digital membership has proven to be one of the greatest decisions she ever made because it paid the bills of her brick and mortar studio. It paid the staff of her brick and mortar studio, and it kept her business and her family moving forward. That's why I'm passionate about membership sites. Because you and I as entrepreneurs, we face a bajillion different challenges every single day that nobody ever knows about, hears about, or will ever understand. But that's why memberships and recurring revenue is so important. Because when you eliminate that financial stress of where that next sale is going to come from, and you take comfort in the stability and the predictability that comes with knowing that at the beginning of the month, you are going to get paid by those members, it changes the way you think and operate with your business. because you don't operate from a place of fear, you operate from a place of confidence. And that's why in the last 2 years, it's been magical to watch how memberships and subscriptions have shown up in a massive way for those entrepreneurs who have had that stability. And we've seen a major boom in memberships. And this is another big reason why memberships are the future of business. Because in the last couple of years, there's been a major boom in memberships and subscriptions for a multitude of different reasons. First, the consumer market is now very used to and accustomed to paying for things on a monthly subscription. In fact, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I got my wife and we got really annoyed recently with a company who didn't have a membership and subscription. And the reason is because we wanted to continuously get this service, but the only way we could get it was every single month we had to call and place the order instead of it being on automatic subscription. And we would forget sometimes. And then when we'd forget, then it was like the pain in the butt. We're like, gosh, and another example, like when we moved into our previous home, we were there about a month and my wife hears like, as we were lying in bed and she's like, what's that? I was like, I don't know. And then it was again. She's like, there it is again. She's like, oh my gosh, it's mice. She's like, we got to move. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, babies, pump the brakes. I'm like, we legit just moved into this house. I'm like, we can't move. So we called an exterminator. And he came and he said, yeah, you definitely have a mice problem. He's like, you live in this wooded area. It's like perfect for mice. And he came and he assessed the situation and he set some things up. And he said to us then, he said, would you want to completely eliminate this problem forever? And we're like, well, yeah. And he said, well, the reality of it is because of where you live here in this wooded area, these mice will come back. But I can put you on our membership plan, whereby by paying the monthly subscription fee, I'll come back every single month and check to make sure that everything is set so that these mice never return again. And we were like, yes, please, done, easy peasy. Now it's out of mind. We never have to worry about it. And we did. We signed up on the spot. Now, interestingly enough, fast forward a couple of years, Amy and I heard the mice again. And she immediately, my wife, was, what's going on? Why we got this mice problem again? Well, lo and behold, we call the exterminator, and our credit card had expired. And instead of like calling us or following up with us, they just let it go, which is, by the way, like when you run a membership and subscription, it is absolutely one of the things that you want to monitor, because there will always be people that cancel, but there's always going to be a percentage of those people that cancel that are not canceling because they don't want the service. It's just the card didn't go through. And that was the situation for us. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, dude, like, call me. I would have definitely given you the updated card. Like, this is a service that we never want to stop. This is what I'm saying to you. Consumers want what we have. And the other big thing that has contributed to the boom in memberships, not only the consumer confidence and comfort level with memberships and subscription, but there's also been a huge boom in terms of the number of people that are online, just like what we are right now. Zoom went from tens of millions of users to hundreds of millions of users in the span of about a couple of months, which means more and more people are familiar with online learning. And all of that has contributed to an environment whereby people are seeking it out. And we see this because there's been a number of research studies recently that demonstrate the fact that the pandemic has actually created an environment where people want to better themselves. In fact, there was a survey of thousands of people, and they were asking questions about how people felt now versus when the pandemic started. And the overall sentiment was that people felt worse now than they did 2 years ago. Not for everybody, but overall. And the reasons that they stated were things like the pandemic created major disruptions in their lives, whether it be travel disruptions, whether it be health disruptions where people couldn't go for surgeries, whether it be like the inconveniences of the way in which we do life, being able to go into restaurants, being able to go into stores, schooling, all these disruptions, right? They talked about how the pandemic created division amongst friends, family, heck, even spouses during that time. Again, having different opinions on how to approach the pandemic and so forth. But as I was reading through the results of this survey, one of the things that caught my eye was that of all of those surveyed, over 80% of the people said that the pandemic forced them to look at what was truly important in their life. And more than 50% of those people said that the pandemic forced them to create positive lifestyle changes. Now, here's why that's important for you and I. As the article went on, it talked about the fact that people now were pursuing passions and interests and ideas that they have wanted to do for a long time, but have always got pushed to the back burner. But the pandemic made people realize, like, there's no better time than now. And so this is why we've seen a major boom in memberships, because people are pursuing the arts and the learning the skills and the things that they have always wanted to do, whether it's new language, new instrument, new art skills, whatever it may be. They're pursuing these passions, these interests more now than ever before. That's what's so exciting about this time right now. There's a lot of things happening in the world, a lot of heavy things happening in the world. But one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is to realize that there's also a lot of people in this world who want to spend time learning, pursuing, improving themselves, making their lives better, making their lives easier. And why not you? Why not you? And now it's never been easier to be able to do that. And this is why, my friends, so many companies, whether it be product-based businesses, service-based businesses, knowledge-based businesses, are moving to the membership and subscription model, because it creates predictability, it creates stability in the business, and it also gives us the opportunity to serve our audience in the best way possible, helping them experience the most amount of progress, because we're there with them during that journey. So now is an amazing time to pursue memberships. And the fun part about this is next week, I'm going to be going deeper on all things memberships. We do this one time a year. You can register for free by going to membershipworkshop.com. And if you are fuzzy about what your membership idea might look like, or you got questions like, would my market even be a fit for a membership? Come and join us, because on the very first session, we're going to walk through an assessment where you'll know exactly whether your market is fit for a membership or not. Plus, we're going to talk about things like, what do you actually provide inside of a membership? How do you market the membership? How do you launch the membership? How do you scale the membership? How do you retain members? How do you get increasing engagement? We're going to talk about this and a whole lot more. This workshop is amazing. And the reason I can say that with confidence is because every single year we have people come into this free workshop with a fuzzy idea of what they want to do and go from fuzzy to clear with a direction and a plan. And heck, even people launching their membership during the free workshop generating sales and revenue during the free workshop. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, how could somebody do that if they don't even have anything created yet? We're going to show you. And it all happens for free starting next week on April 21st. Go to membershipworkshop.com and register. Absolutely free. We do this one time a year. It's coming up, my friends. So put it on your calendar. Come join us live because the experience is incredible. And you'll get swept up in the positive momentum. You'll get swept up in the courage of others. And you will take more meaningful action during this workshop than you ever will watching a recording or trying to navigate this on your own. So come and join us. It's absolutely free. Membershipworkshop.com. Okay. Oh, the lovely Haruka. Great to see you. Haruka said, everything started 3 years ago when I found Stu. Well, I appreciate that, Haruka. Thank you for jumping on. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you, Julie. Julie said, such a great workshop. Thank you for that. Rachel said, so excited for it. Yes, me too. We're super pumped. Let's see here. Rachel, that is incredible. Rachel said, inspired by Stu, I started a back-end membership with utter uncertainty, and 2 months in, I have 24 paying members and amazing feedback. Rachel, that is amazing. Congratulations, buddy. This is just the beginning. Like, I think about the momentum from those first 24 members. Congratulations, bud. Haruka said here, looking back to my one-on-one coaching business I had before, I cannot believe that I was teaching 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm so happy to realize that now I can teach only twice a week and all the members watch it live or recordings later. Now I have members all over the world. Yes, Haruka. And, and this is common, by the way. We see so many coaches and consultants who are doing that one-on-one model, and it's burning them into the ground. I think of Clint Salter, who had a very successful coaching business, coaching dance studio owners, but his story was very similar to mine, where he was burning the candle at both ends. From the moment he'd wake up to the moment he'd go to bed, he was coaching clients. And something had to change because his health was being compromised because of that nonstop treadmill. Well, he shifted to a membership model, and now he's able to serve thousands of dance studio owners all around the world because he's teaching one to many. That's what a membership makes possible for all of us. Okay, let me just see if there are any other questions. Christina said, I launched one, but I have another one I want to launch after this upcoming workshop. Amazing, Krista. Can't wait to hear all about it. Keep us posted. Somebody said here, what do you suggest for membership site owners who start to feel disconnected to their current audience and members? Great question. Real quick, what I would say to that is that it's most important that you get in tune with the transformation that you're helping make possible. Because the reality is that you are 100% normal in that feeling. I've experienced it even in my business. But one of the things that we are very intentional about is we, in our Slack, we have a Slack channel where it's all the kudos and progress that people in our community experience. So when I'm feeling that disconnection, I jump in there and I just look at the progress that our people are experiencing and the impact that that is having. And what I begin to realize, and this is what gives me comfort, this is what creates purpose for me, is I realize that it's not just that business owner that we're helping in our community, because it's that business owner who also is impacting others on their team or other vendors that they may work with. It's also impacting the family of that business owner. And what we teach also impacts the hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, in many cases, members of their memberships. And when I take a step back and I take inventory of that and that ripple effect, that's when it very quickly re-energizes me. That's when I really get fired up and excited about the work that we get to do. And I would say the same is true for you. When you take inventory of the impact and the transformation that's being made possible because of your membership, and that those are real people with real lives that are being impacted, when you get tuned into that, you can't help but feel positive energy with what it is that you get to do. And it brings everything right into focus. So hopefully that really helps. Amanda said, Stu, I really want to know if I should only offer annual memberships. I don't think that only offering annual memberships is a smart thing to do. I do think that there will always be a percentage of people who will want to kind of dip their toe in, so to speak, before they commit to a long-term arrangement like an annual membership. And I know as a business owner, you likely want the annual memberships because that helps from a retention standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality of it is that you're going to be losing out on a whole lot of people who would normally give the membership a try. So I just flip it around, Amanda. I look at it from the perspective of I want to make it as easy as possible for people to say yes and come join us in the membership, knowing that there's a good percentage of people that are joining the membership with the intent of canceling after that first month. But that's okay. Because the way I look at it is first hurdle is just to welcome people into the membership. The second hurdle is to then knock their socks off so that they are so happy with what is being delivered and the progress that they're experiencing that they don't ever think about canceling that membership. So this is why I always recommend, if you're going to have annual, that you also have a monthly option as well. I wouldn't solely go with the annual option. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me here today. Come and join us next week at the membership workshop. It's all free. It is live. It is going to be epic and amazing and exciting. And there's going to be so much great energy. And if you even have the slightest thought about creating a membership, this is the place for you to be, because you will come away clear. You'll have a direction and a plan. And most importantly, you'll have created a ton of momentum, whether in some cases you've actually launched during the free workshop, which has happened consecutively year after year after year. So come join us. It's going to be amazing. And I cannot wait to see you there. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye. Have a great rest of the week.